The air in the funeral parlor clung to my skin, heavy with the scent of lilies and grief, as my brother's voice sliced through the mourner's murmurs like a blade. "You don't deserve it, Ethan," he hissed, his face inches from mine, eyes wild with a desperation I'd never seen. "Sign it over. Now." I stood frozen, the weight of my parents' caskets behind me, their absence a fresh wound. My wife, Clara, lingered a few steps away, her hand brushing my arm in what I thought was comfort. But as my brother's demand echoed, her touch felt suddenly foreign, like a stranger's. I didn't know it then, but that moment was the first crack in the foundation of everything I believed about her. The day had started with rain, a relentless drizzle that soaked the black umbrellas gathered outside the funeral home. My parents had died together in a car accident 2 weeks earlier, a cruel twist that left me and my brother, Marcus, to navigate a world without them. I was 34, a high school history teacher with a modest life, married to Clara for 7 years. Marcus, older by 3 years, had always been the ambitious one. Real estate deals, flashy cars, a life built on calculated risks. We'd never been close, but I hadn't expected this confrontation. Not here, not now. "Ethan, please," Marcus said, his voice lowering but no less urgent. "The inheritance, Mom and Dad's estate, it's tied up in the business. I need your share to keep it afloat. You don't even care about the company." His jaw twitched, and I noticed the sweat beading on his forehead despite the chill in the room. I glanced at Clara, expecting her to step in, to tell Marcus to back off. Instead, she looked down, her fingers twisting the strap of her purse. Her silence was a splinter under my skin. "Marcus, this isn't the place," I said, my voice unsteady. "Can we talk about this later?" "No. It has to be now." He thrust a folded document toward me, a pen clipped to its edge. "Sign it, or we lose everything." The mourners around us pretended not to notice, their eyes fixed on the floral arrangements or the polished wood of the caskets. I felt their glances anyway, sharp and judgmental. My chest tightened, a mix of grief and something darker, doubt. Why was Clara so quiet? Why wasn't she at my side, her usual fierce self, ready to shield me from Marcus's aggression? "I need time to think," I said, pushing the paper back. Marcus's face hardened, but he didn't press further. He turned and stalked toward the exit, leaving me with the weight of his words and Clara's unsettling stillness. That night, in our small suburban home, the silence between Clara and me was louder than any argument. We sat at the kitchen table, the remnants of a takeout dinner between us. The clock ticked too loudly, each second a reminder of the distance growing in the space where trust used to be. "Clara," I finally said, my voice barely above a whisper, "why didn't you say anything today? When Marcus cornered me, you just stood there." She looked up, her green eyes catching the dim light. For a moment, I saw the woman I'd fallen in love with, fierce, witty, the one who'd laughed with me over late-night coffee and held me through my insecurities. But her expression shifted, guarded, like a door quietly closing. "I didn't know what to say," she murmured. "It's your family, Ethan. I didn't want to interfere." "That's never stopped you before." My words came out sharper than I intended, and she flinched. "You've always had my back. Why not today?" She stood, crossing her arms, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. "Maybe I'm just tired, okay? It's been a long day. A long 2 weeks." She turned toward the sink, busying herself with dishes that didn't need washing. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to chalk it up to grief, to the strain of losing my parents. But something gnawed at me, a quiet instinct that whispered of secrets. Over the next few days, that whisper grew louder. Clara was distant, her phone always in her hand, her replies to my questions clipped. When I asked to see the document Marcus had tried to make me sign, she said she didn't know where it was. When I pressed, she snapped, "Why are you so obsessed with this? Just let it go." I couldn't let it go. The document was in my parents' safe, locked in their study. Late one night, while Clara slept, I crept downstairs, my heart pounding as I punched in the combination. The safe clicked open, revealing a stack of papers. Among them was the one Marcus had waved at me, a transfer of my inheritance rights to him, tied to my parents' real estate company. But what caught my eye was a second document, one I hadn't seen before. A contract between Marcus and Clara. My hands shook as I read it. Clara had been working with Marcus for months, consulting on the company's finances behind my back. She'd been paid a substantial sum, money that came from my parents' estate, money that should have been ours. The betrayal hit like a physical blow, stealing my breath. Clara, my Clara, had been scheming with my brother, siphoning off what was rightfully mine. I confronted her the next morning. She stood in our bedroom, still in her pajamas, her face pale as I held up the contract. "Explain this," I said, my voice breaking. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like." She opened her mouth, then closed it, tears welling in her eyes. "Ethan, I was going to tell you." "When?" I shouted, the sound raw and foreign. "After you and Marcus took everything? After you lied to my face for months?" "It wasn't like that," she said, stepping toward me. I backed away, the space between us a chasm. "Marcus came to me last year. The company was failing. He needed help and I thought I could fix it. For us." "For us?" I laughed, bitter and hollow. "You took money from my parents' estate, Clara. You went behind my back. How is that for us?" "I didn't want to hurt you," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I thought if I could save the company, we'd all benefit. You'd get your share and—" "Stop." My voice was a blade, cutting through her words. "You chose Marcus over me. You chose money over me." The room felt too small, the walls closing in. I thought of our wedding day, her smile as she vowed to stand by me. I thought of the nights we'd spent dreaming of a future. Kids, a bigger house, a life built on trust. All of it crumbled now, ash in my hands. "I'm sorry," she sobbed, reaching for me. I stepped back, my heart a storm of rage and heartbreak. "Ethan, please. I love you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But love couldn't undo the lies, couldn't rebuild the trust she'd shattered. "I need time," I said, my voice barely audible. "I need space." I left that day, staying with a friend, the weight of her betrayal a constant ache. Days turned into weeks, and I wrestled with what to do. Marcus called, offering apologies laced with excuses, but I ignored him. The inheritance was frozen, tied up in legal battles, but I didn't care about the money anymore. It was the loss of Clara, of us, that cut deepest. One evening, as I sat alone in my friend's guest room, Clara texted me a single line. "I never meant to break us." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Part of me wanted to run back, to forgive her, to believe we could salvage something from the wreckage. But another part, the part that had seen her silence at the funeral, the part that had read the contract, knew better. I didn't reply. Instead, I deleted her message, my finger trembling as I did. The rain started again outside, a soft patter against the window, and I let myself cry, for my parents, for the brother I'd never truly known, and for the wife who'd become a stranger. The future was uncertain. A blank page I'd have to write alone. But in that moment, I chose myself, my heart too broken to trust again.